Hello, dear students from all over Egypt. Welcome to today's session. With you today, Mr. Hassoub. And today, inshallah, we will continue your beautiful platform Choreo with chapter 23, functions. So, the key points for this lesson, of course, we know that it divides into 4 lessons and the review at the end. So, starting with lesson 1 from the functions, we will learn how or what is functions and how to write them and points to note when naming functions. So, be with me and let's continue. So, as usual, the conversation between Cody and Rick is continuing. So here is we have Ricky is talking about a competition for himself, and Ricky is answering him. And here we have Rick says there is a total of 72 slices of pizza. There are 6 of us today, so how many slices can each person eat? Cody, can you quickly calculate that with the program? So we have 72 slices, and we want it to be divided by 6 people. So Cody says 4 times like this, we can create a function. So to divide numbers on each other, okay, or to calculate by division, we can create a function. Function, that's right. We made things like Mr. 3 split and Mr. 5x calc before at the first term, you remember? We can decide the name ourselves and specify what kind of action we want it to do. So look here, this is how the function, okay, goes. So the program for Mr. function goes like this. Starting with, okay, we have a curly parentheses, which decide the names for the function and its argument, okay? And here, the second part, the actions or the process we want Mr. Function to perform. And finally, here we have to return the result value. So these are the 3 steps for a function. We decide the names, okay, for the function and the argument for it. After that, we specify the actions or the process we want Mr. Function to perform. And finally, we return the result value. So be with me to know how to perform it. Okay, I think I've seen it before. Well, functions are quite complex, so take your time to remember it. First, let's decide on the name in the yellow section. A name that clearly represents what the function does would be good. Well, let's name it divide 6 because we are going to divide it by 6. Since you are dividing the pizza into 6 equal parts. So we will name the function divide 6. For the parameter name, since it's the total name of number of pizza, it's gonna be total. So the parameter name is gonna be total. Well, nice. Next is the red part. Since we want to divide the total number of pizza by 6, we should, okay, do total, okay, divided by 6. So how can we write it? Do you remember? We put a slash. So that's right. We also need to prepare a variable to store the calculation results. Well, let's make the variable name peer, okay, for clarity. So here we have the function and we have here total divided by 6. And finally, we have the variable peer. Now, for the last part, the blue section, we need to return the value of the variable peer, which holds the calculation result. Well, do you remember how to write it? Well, here we have Cody says, we use, okay, the word return. We use return for the results, which means to give back and write return peer. Okay, so let's start writing it with me, please. So here's the program we are going to create. Okay, let's create the following program. Create a function with the name device6 and the parameter total. Well, we start with writing the word function. Okay, and after that we take its name, copy, and here we paste it. Okay, wait. And here we have, we are gonna write the parameter, sorry, no, it's total. And the parameter here, total, between two parentheses. So we open the parentheses and here is we have the parameter. After that, assign total divided by 6 to the variable peer. So to assign a variable, we need to write let, okay, and write the name for the variable peer. So let peer equal, and we start by writing, okay, the parameter total. So we write total, and we want it to be divided by 6. So total divided by 6 here. We write a slash and it's 6. Okay, and don't forget, so you forget here the semicolon, and here we write a semicolon too to end this line. Well, after that, return the variable peer. So we click return or write return, but no, this is, well, let's write it. Okay, return peer, and don't forget to put the semicolon, and after that, do you remember what we forgotten, dear students? We have forgotten here the curly brackets, of course, and finally here we have curly brackets too to enclose it. Okay, so let's check it together. So this is how to create a function to divide the numbers, okay, of divides. Of course, the function name is divide by 6, and the total, how to assign it. We assigned it here. Okay, so we wrote peer equals total divided by 6, and we return the variable peer to know the result. So let's check it with me, and we click run code. Okay, so after we wrote it, nothing here appeared. Well, why so? Let's check it here with Cody and Rick. So I wrote it. Writing functions feel substantial, but with just this, the result won't be output yet. Well, just creating a function doesn't make it do anything. We need to call it. Well, do you remember how to write code to call a function? Do you remember how we used to call functions? It's by writing console, okay? So here we have Cody say, since we want to output the result to the console, first we write console.log, and then we write a function name and the argument. We write the function name. Do you remember the function name? It's divided 6. And the argument itself, which is, okay, the number we want to divide it. Okay. For the argument, you just input the value you want to calculate, which is 72, and you are good to go. So this is how to do it. Look here. Let's create the following program. call the function divide 6 with the argument 72. So to call a function, we have to write console.log. So be with me and let's write console.log and open a parenthesis and write divide 6. Okay, and after writing it, we have to put the argument itself, which is 72, and enclose the bracket for the parentheses, wait. Okay, and don't forget we have another one here. So we close this parenthesis and we want to close this too. So we put another one and end it with a semicolon. Okay, so console.log divide 6 and we have 72. So let's check this code with me. We click run code and voila. So this is how to divide 72 by 6 and the result is here. Okay, so it outputs 12. So that means each person can eat up to 12 slices. Well, the margarita pizza, Halloween pizza, and seafood pizza are a must. And then, well, they kept chit-chatting with each other. So let's continue. And here, okay, so now what kind of function should we create next? Let's see. Remember when we want, okay, bowling with 5 people recently? How about creating a function that splits the total cost of 6.250 Cody coins equally among us? Well, they are gonna split this by 5. Well, I'll look at the function creation sheet again and write step by step. So this is how to write a function. So starting with, we decide the names for the function and its argument. Here in this red part, we write the actions or the process. At the blue part, we return the result value. Okay, so this is the 3 parts of a function. We decide the names for the function and the argument. Here we write the actions or the process, and after that we return the result value. Okay, first the function name, since we are splitting among 5 people, I'll name it split 5. The parameter name would be total. Well, that's a clear name. What process do you want the function to perform? Well, this is the way we are going to perform the function together. So I want to divide the total bowling fee among 5 people. So now we are going to divide the total bowling fee. هنقسم كده الفلوس كلها على ال 5 people. For the program, I need to prepare a container for the calculation result and write the calculation formula, right? Well, to return the calculated value, you need to write return followed by the variable name. فاكرين احنا طبعا علشان خاطر نحسب القيمة كنا دايما بنعمل كده return وبنكتب اسم الفاريبل نفسه، وطبعا بعد كده كنا بنقول ان احنا نعمل call لل results for itself. طيب call the function and write a program to output the calculation result to the console. So after that, after writing the 3 steps of a function, we need to call the function to the console. فاكرين بقى كنا بنكتب ان console.log, okay, and the name of the function and the number we want to calculate or the argument itself. So look here, let's create this program with me. So create this following program. Create a function with the name split 5 and the parameter total. So let's create it with me. Starting with writing function and we have the name for it is function. We name it split5, so we are going to copy it. And the parameter is total, so open parentheses and we write total. Okay, and after that, open a curly brackets. Well, assign the calculation total divided by 5 to the variable peer. So we need to, okay, define here or assign the variable peer. So let's write let peer, okay, equal. And we have here, it's total. So we need to write total divide by 5. And in the program with a semicolon, and after that, return the value of the variable peer. So we need to write return, and we write the name of the variable itself, peer and semicolon. Well, call the function split5. So how we call it? By writing console.log and we write the name of the function. Okay, open the parentheses. So we write split5. And after that, we open a parenthesis and put the argument itself. So this is the argument, and we copy it and put it here as we learned. So we write the name of the function and we write the argument itself and ending it with a semicolon. So let's check it with me and click run code. And great. Well, here is the result. At the console, it's 1,250. Okay, done. The split cost is 1,250 Cody coins. Perfect. Well, let's move to, this is how to write a process, okay, or a function. Of course, a function is something that receives certain data, executes a specified process, and returns the result. This is how we write it. Well, when creating a function, write function name and the parameter name and the process. When naming the function or the parameters, use names that are easy to understand. And finally, we call the function to the console. So continue. Here is lesson 2. Okay, scope in function. So this is variable scope within a function. Here is we have Cody say the pizza the other day was delicious, wasn't it? Well, they kept chit-chatting, and here we have, by the way, how did you feel about creating a function program last time for the first time in a while? Well, I think I kind of remembered it. It's difficult if I try to write everything at once, but it was easier to understand when I broke it down into steps. Well, look here. This is a function program. Okay, so we write here the function name, and here we have the parameter name. After that, we have here the result or the return after that. And finally, we call the function to the console. Okay, so it's a function that splits the bowling fee among 5 people. Is there something wrong with the program? Well, take a look here. Is there something wrong? Well, look, this line here, okay, let result equal total divided by 5. In line 2, you have created a variable result to store the split calculation result. Pay attention to where this variable is declared. Okay, so احنا عملنا ال variable result. Okay, علشان نضيف فيه القيمة المفروض ان هي total divided by 5. Well, where it declared, oh, the variable result is declared inside the, look here, this is the curly brackets. يبقى نخلي بالنا كده ان ال variable result, okay, it's declared here between the curly brackets before we return it. So, oh, the variable result is declared inside the curly brackets. So we learned in the rules for if statements and for loops that variable declared inside the curly brackets cannot be used outside a curly brackets. I wonder if that's the same for the function. فاكرين القاعدة اللي احنا أخدناها لما اتكلمنا على if statements في الترم الأول وكمان التكرار، كان إن ال variables عندي كان لازم الديكلاريشن خاص بيها كان يبقى between a curly brackets. Okay, so is it same here? Well, sharp observation. Well done. Just like the rules for the if statements and for loops, variables declared inside of functions, okay, curly brackets cannot be used once you go outside those curly brackets. So let's try changing the content of the console on the bottom line to result and run it. Look here. Okay, so here we have click run code without modifying the program. So here we have the function name, and here we have the parameter, and this is the variable result. Okay, we return it the variable, and here we call it to the console. Okay, let's click run code without modifying. Click run, and here we have uncode reference error. Well, it results in an error. By the way, do you remember what we can or what we call the range where variables can be used? Well, what do we call the range where the variables are accessible? Do we call it scope or a skunk? Well, let's click here and see together. So we click next. Excellent. That's correct. The range where variables are accessible is called scope, right? Well, that's right, scope. Now, keeping scope in mind, answer where or whether these programs will result in an error or not. Pay attention to where variables are declared. نخلي بالنا كده الديكلاريشن خاص بالفاريبلز هيكون فين. احنا عرفنا طبعا قبل كده ان المكان او النطاق الرينج الخاص بالفاريبل علشان يبقى accessible بيبقى اسمه scope. اوكي. Okay, so will this program result in an error? Look here. So function split 5 total. Okay, let result equal total divided by 5, and here we have return result and the console.log result. Well, what do you think, dear students? It's gonna result in an error or no? Well, let's click here. Okay, it doesn't result an error, and click next. Okay, so look here, Cody, what did he say? Too bad, since the variable is declared inside the curly brackets. Look here. Here we have it, okay, between the curly brackets. And It cannot be used outside the curly brackets. So let's try another question. Will this program result in an error? Look here, okay? So here we have let results equal total divided by 6 and return result, and it's between the curly brackets. Well, it results in an error or it doesn't result in an error. Well, let's click it and click next. And here we have Cody says correct. Since the variable results declared inside the curly brackets is not being used outside it again. So نخلي بالنا كده إن ال variable here is declared between the curly brackets. But in the first question, okay, it wasn't. So let's continue with me and continue to the next lesson. Well, how to write functions without arguments and when to use arguments. Well, let's try click run code without modifying the program. Well, let's click run code with me and see what will happen. Click run code and well, here's good morning was output. Look here. We have the word good morning was output to the console. Well, wait, Cody, is your throat sore and you can speak? Well, no, I can speak just fine. Well, that's good then. Well, they kept chit-chatting and by the way, both of you, take a good look at the contents of this program. Do you notice anything? Look here, take a look. Well, here's we have Ricky says, it output good morning. Is it a function program? Is there anything different you notice, dear students? Well, here we have the function, okay, good morning, and let greeting equal good morning, and we have return greeting. Okay, and we have console.log good morning. So, well, pay attention to the first line. Look here. So this is the first line. Function, okay, you noticed? Well, yes, this function has no parameters. Look here, we don't have a parameter here. Okay, so we have here the brackets empty. Only we have the function name. Okay, so the functions we have created so far had parameters name inside the parentheses. So like this function and the name of the function and the parameter total. But what we have seen has no parameter at all. Yes, we always wrote parameters, but does it mean it works fine even it works fine even without parameters? Of course, as you just tried, I still properly output good morning even without a parameter. Well, depending on what process you want the functions to perform, sometimes you need parameters and sometimes you don't. يعني غالبا أو يعني أحيانا كده بنحتاج البارامترز عندي في الفانكشن and sometimes we don't. Well, take a look at the function this time. So look here, we don't have a parameter between the parentheses. So first, in the first line or in line 1, we are creating a function named good morning. So this is a function name. In line 2, okay, we are declaring a variable greeting. So here we declared the variable greeting. and assigning good morning to it. And we assign the word good morning to this variable, okay? In line 3, we are returning the value of the greeting itself. So we are calling here return greeting and add the final one. Finally, we are calling the function good morning inside the two parentheses of console.log. So when we call here, okay, the function to the console, it's gonna print what's inside the greeting, okay? So it's gonna print good morning. So do you think somewhere we are using a parameter or anywhere we are using a parameter? Well, indeed, there is no scene where we use parameters anywhere. Well, before we needed parameters for calculations like the total number of pizza or the total amount of to split. But this time we are just outputting good morning. We are not using numbers. So there was no scene to use a parameter. That's why it worked properly even without a parameter. لان احنا مفيش اي نمبرز موجوده، فاحنا بالتالي ممكن احنا ما نستخدمش الباراميترز لان احنا اللي احنا عايزينه يطلع اللي هو كلمه good morning. اوكي، so let's create the following program. Create a function with the name good morning. So let's click here, copy, and we write function, and we put the name of the function. Assign good morning to the variable greeting. Okay, so after writing it, we need to put the two parentheses, okay, and don't forget the curly brackets, and after that create a function with the name good morning and no parameters. Okay, so we put here no parameters. Assign good morning to the variable greeting, so we write here let greeting, and we need to assign good morning to it, so equal, okay, to remember words or letters here we used to put it between a double parenthesis, okay, or double quotation marks. So we need to copy this word good morning and we put it between the double quotation marks and end it with a semicolon. Okay, so return the variable greeting. So ننزل كده سطر تاني and we write return and the variable name is greeting. And we put semicolon and call the function good morning and output to the console. And finally, we need to call it to the console. So we write console.log. Open a parenthesis and we write good morning. The copy and we paste it here. Okay, and output to the console. So we need to, don't forget here we have, okay, no parameters. So after that we put the parentheses. And finally, we put the semicolon. Okay, so let's check it with me, and we click run code. Okay, so when we are writing words like this, we put the two parentheses without a parameter, and when we call the function at the end, we put the two parentheses without a parameter. Okay, I wrote it other than having no parameters and nothing particularly different, huh? That's right, you can create functions even without parameters. Keep that in mind. So, this is the way to write a function without a parameters when we're writing words like this. Okay, let's continue to the next lesson. So now, when there are multiple parameters, I can't do anything. Well, they kept chit-chatting with each other. Okay, here is the most important part. Well, that's true. Maybe from now on, I should create a function to do the addition calculation for the during tests. Well, that's escalating quickly. Let's create a function that adds two numbers when we pass them to it. Well, the program for Mr. Function. Well, here we decide the names for the function and its argument. This is the yellow part. And do you remember the purple part, the action process we want Mr. Function to perform. And here is the blue part, we return the result value. So these are the three processes. We decide the name of the function and the argument. Here we do the process itself, okay, and after that we return the result. Okay, so what name should we give this function? Well, since the result of addition is sum, let's name the function sum. Okay, so that's right, it's the same name as our English teacher. Okay, next is the parameter names. This time we are adding two numbers, so we need to prepare two parameters. Let's use num1 and num2 as abbreviations of the word number. So now, okay, the parameters name. We have, okay, two parameters, num1 and num2. Since there are two numbers, it's num1 and num2, right? Now, let's write the program that creates the behavior of the sum function. I'll have you write the program to call it later. So we are going to add two numbers to each other. Okay, so let's create the following program. Create a function with the name sum. So let's write function. Okay, with the name sum. So we write sum. And parameters num1 and num2. So look here, we open parentheses and we write the names of the parameters. So this is num1. And we split them, or we write comma and num2. Okay, after that we open the curly brackets and we click enter. So assign num1 plus num2 to the variable result. assign num1 plus num2 to the variable result. So we need to assign the variable result. Okay, so we write let, okay, result. Let's take it as a copy. So num1 plus num2. So we have to write num1 plus num2. It's num1, okay, plus num2. Okay, and we end with a semicolon. Return the variable result. So we need to write a return and we write result. Okay, and the semicolon. Well, we will input the program to call it in the next. So let's try with me and click run code. Well, there is something here. Well, let's revise it with me. Okay, this is a function sum, num1, and we have here num2. After that, let result, okay, yes, let result equal. Yes, equal. Okay, num1 plus num2. And we have here return result, and let's click run code. Okay. Well, finally, let's write the program to call the function. So here we are going to call it through the console. So let's write it with me after we wrote, okay, the program itself. So let's write console dot log. Wait. And open the parentheses and we write sum. Okay. Open a parentheses and we write, look here. So call the function sum with the argument 50 and 100 and output to the console. So after rewriting console.log, we here have the function name, it's sum, and we write the arguments, it's 50 and 100. So we open parentheses and we write 50, comma, 100, and we enclose, okay, wait. And we put the semicolon. Okay, so let's check it with me and click run code. And it's 150. Well, you have got functions with multiple parameters down perfectly. So this is how to do function with parameters. So now let's move to the review with me, dear students. Okay. Well, it's 7 questions and let's answer them with me. So let's start. Okay, so question 1. Please select the correct program to create a function move without parameters. So without the parameters, do you remember we write okay, the two parentheses without a parameter in between here. And this is the way. So we write the function name and we write here the two parentheses and program to run and end it with a curly brackets. Okay. The answer. Well, click next. Select the correct console output when the following program is executed. So look here, the function calc, okay, and we have the parameter num. Let results equal num plus 5 and return result. Okay, and we have here console.log calc 50. So it's 50 plus 5. So it's gonna equal in 55. Have you got it? Here is the calc. Okay, here is num. and the parameter here the function name is calc, and the parameter name is num, and let results equal num plus 5. Num plus 5. So here we have the calc is the calc's name here, or the function name is 50, and this is the argument we have, it's 50. So we have it plus 5. 50 plus 5 is gonna be 55. And let's click answer, and it's correct. Okay. Okay. Here we have select the correct console output when the following program is executed. So look, here we have it. It's let answer equal number. It's multiplied by 10. And here we have the name of the functions calc, and here we have the 3. So 3 multiplied by 10 is gonna be 30. Okay, 3 multiplied by 10, so it's gonna be 30. Not 3, not 10. And let's click answer, and it's correct. Okay, so continue next, and a function divide 5 that divides by 5 has been created. So please output to the console. So we want to output it to the console. Okay, so it's console.log, and here we need to write the name of the function. It's divide 5. We copy it, and here we write paste. Okay, so this is divide 5, and after that the console bypassing the value is 35. So we assign the value to it. So we open the parentheses and we write 35. Okay, and let's click run code, and it's 7. Let's click answer, and it's correct. Well, next, select the result of executing the following program from the choices below. Okay, so this is the program we have. Well, as you can see here, okay, we can't write it between the curly brackets, so it's gonna results in an error. Okay, so it results in an error because it's not correct to. Okay, we click next. And now let's continue with question 6. Create a program as followed that outputs good morning when the function good night is called. So create a function with the name good night. So let's write it part by part. So we copy it here, and we write, okay, we move it a line, and here we write function. And the name of the function is good night. So we copied it. Assign good night to the variable greeting. Wait, we have here no parameters, so we need to put the two parentheses with, sorry, without any parameters. And after that, we open the curly brackets and assign good night to the variable greeting. So we copy greeting, and we have here to write let a greeting a equal good night. And do you remember words? Okay, we need to bring it between double quotation marks. Okay, let's copy it correctly, and yes. So we put double quotation marks, and we paste it and end with a semicolon. Well, return the variable greeting. So you write return. Okay, greeting, and put the semicolon. And finally, we have console.log. It's good night. And of course, because it has no parameters, so we put here the two parentheses, and it's correct, inshallah. So let's click run code. And here we have the word good night at the output. So let's click answer, and it's correct. So next to question 7. A program is written for a function that multiplies. So now we have multiplication. When two arguments are passed, input a program that calls a function mul past the argument, 9 and 7. So now we have 9 and 7 and outputs to the console. So we need to call it to the console. So we write, console. Log. Okay, and we open the parentheses. We write mul, which is the name of the function, and we open the parentheses. We write the variables. It's 9 and 7, and we close it. And finally, we put the semicolon. Okay, so it's console.log. Mul 9 and 7, and we close it. So let's click run code and check it's 63, and we click answer, and it's correct. So, well, that was perfect. Well, that was the end for the chapter 23 for career platform. Wish you, inshallah, understood everything. Till I see you in the next chapter, from me all best wishes. Thank you and goodbye.